De Kock 2 not out and Duplessis 4 not out.
So Jack Brooks swaps his headband for his cap as he heads down to the electronic scoreboard, which is just close to the dug-in Seoul Pavilion here, showing Alistair Cook 69 and Tenduscarter 6, numbers 26 and 27 on the backs of their shirts in together.
And Jack Leach to bowl to the number 27, who for the uninitiated is Ryan Tenduscarter. Slow left arm round the wicket, river end, no run, played to backward point. James Hildreth 158 for 4.
Yes, James Hildreth distinguishable by his rather faded cap, lurking at backward point.
Leach again, slip and the silly point, bowls and the ball played up to the silly point, there's no run there. Leach getting through his over very, very quickly indeed, already on his way back in. Passes umpire Nick Cook, bowls to Tenduscarter. Tenduscarter drives, but without timing, goes down to Jamie Overton at mid-off, no run.
Batting slightly skittishly, Tenduscarter. Don't know whether that's a sign that he's yet to settle. It's only just come in, of course.
And Leach is in bowls, and Tenduscarter plays it into the offside, no run. Heard from Tony Amos again, who says, no, you've got me confused with Ron's email. It's not staying. Keep on guessing. So David Brett was at the microphone when the subject was introduced, so he really needs, I think, to come back.
When you mentioned Graham Gooch saying he was the best bowler he faced, the man I immediately...
Malcolm Marshall.
No, well, I actually thought Terry Alderman.
Oh, yeah, it's possible, yeah.
He got Gooch out on numerous occasions.
This is run to backward point, there's no run. Well, David Brett said to me it was a South African.
All right, so it's not Terry Alderman then.
But you know we can't trust David. He may have got hold of the wrong end of the stick. Here is Leach again. Bowls to Tenduscarter. Fends this one off again to James Hildreth. Done most of the fielding at backward point in that over. A maiden, 158 for 4. Essex really having to battle for every run in this afternoon session and struggling to keep their wickets intact. 69 to Cook and 6 to Tenduscarter.
Yeah, it's a totally contrasting session, really.
Yeah.
That dominant over ball in the morning one after Essex won the toss, and my word, it looked like a good one to win, didn't it? But not so much this afternoon.
Indeed.
Somerset coming right back into the game. Even Stevens, pretty much.
Yeah, no, that's quite right. And of course, it's a good game of cricket when the momentum switches from side to side. And Jack Brooks to bowl from the Hayes close end to Alistair Cook on 69. Cook leads the ball outside off stump to go through to Stephen Davis. We've heard from Tim Moynihan. He says, dear commentators, don't know if anyone has thought of this before. There's a rather rude motorcycle passes behind us. But when Dan Lawrence is batting with Alistair Cook, would it be right to call them Lawrence and the Machine, as distinct from Florence and the Machine? Yes, nice one, Tim in Frinton. Thank you very much. As Brooks is in. Bowles and Cook has cracked this one away. It'll only be a single out to Tim Grunewald on the cover boundary. Nice shot though, a little bit short from Jack Brooks there. And 70 now to Cook. And Tenduscarter, who's made 6, will come into strike with the score 159 for 4 in the 55th.
I'm trying to think of South African bowlers from, presumably this would be soon after readmission.
Yeah, so it's confusing. Brooks is in bowls and Tenduscarter plays it back to the bowler because, and this is all I've heard of the argument anyway, but David said to me, well, I'll give you a clue, it's a South African. And when I said Dale Steyn, he said, you've got it. So someone has given him the idea. And I could actually see Steyn being, the answer from the point of view. And the other thing was, David said the South African still playing.
Right.
because Dale Steyn and Aaron Beard, they're both sort of below the normal height you'd expect for a quick bowler. Not that Beard is of the pace of Steyn, as here Tenduscarter plays the ball wide of Azhar Ali at mid-on, single 160 for 4, and Tenduscarter moves up to 7. Oh, I think I'm getting a signal of a no ball there. We'll just see if the board recognises that. Sometimes an umpire holds his arm out for a different reason, so I'm waiting to see if that goes up on the board. At the moment it hasn't gone up. It's 160 for 4. I'll keep you posted on that front. Here comes Brooks. Bowls to Cook, long way outside off stump, no need for a shot. No, I don't think it is going to go up, so 160 for 4 we will go by unless proved otherwise.
So did Dale Steyn and Graham Gooch overlap?
No.
Right. So South African bowlers.
Yeah, I mean...
From when Gooch was playing.
Yeah.
Farney de Villiers.
Yeah. Sean Pollock.
Brian McMillan.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Jack Callis.
Yep.
Here is Brooks to Cook. Cook plays this nicely through the covers. Again, it'll just be a single out to Greneval. And the score to 161 for 4. His lordship on 71.
Yes, I'm trying to think who else. Alan Donald came in after readmission, didn't he? Just
yeah, now,
after.
actually, that is... I don't know how I managed not to think of Alan Donald, because he would be someone that you could... that even as great a player as Graham Gooch could easily think was the best bowler he ever faced. He was one hell of a bowler, was Alan Donald.
He was.
There was also...
White Lightning.
Yeah, one that we've not mentioned. I don't think this would, for a moment, be the answer to the question, but Mackay and Tini. Took a lot of wickets for South Africa and tends to get forgotten when people think about South African bowlers. I mention him not least because I shook hands with him once. He came into the box when he was a young lad, just about to make his debut. Never took any notice of me after that. But here is Jack Leach, left arm over to bowl to Alistair Cook with a slip and a conventional back pad. Cook comes forward, plays it whence it came, back to the bowler.
There's a story about Mackay and Tini and Alan Donald, which Angus Fraser tells, which I'll come back to.
Yes, please do, as Leach is on his way. Good over rate by Somerset. And again, played back to the bowler. So Leach, Stephen will regale us with the story at the end of the over. Here is Leach again, bowling to Alistair Cook. Cook has whacked it to backward square leg, James Hildreth. And there will be no run, 161 for 4. It was 110 for 1 at lunch. Good scoring rate up to that point, but since then, a miserly 51 runs conceded in an hour and 35 minutes by the Somerset attack, while 3 wickets have gone down. Men out today: Brown 29, Wesley 36, both to Jamie Overton. Lawrence 5, Bopara 7, both to Lewis Gregory.
Jack Leach is tinkering with his fields. That's why there's a little bit of a delay here. He wants Hildreth squarer. Square leg, in fact. No, he doesn't. He's decided he wants him back at backward square again. So had him up and then now back again. But he's ready to go.
Is it a double bluff? As here is Leach around the wicket now to Cook. Cook forces it off the back foot in the opposite direction to point, and there will be no run as it's fielded there by Jack Brooks. 161 for 4 in the 56th. 8 overs after this one up to the tea interval, which will be fairly prompt, I would think, at 3:40 or soon after. We've got now a leg slip and a conventional slip. And Cook whips the next ball to mid-wicket. And the skipper, Tom Abel, there will be no run. Ball is back with the bowler, Jack Leach. Sultry, slightly gloomy day here in Chelmsford. Leach bowls. Cook straight out to point again. And no run. Brooks does the fielding and may well take the ball back to bowl the next over at the Hayes close end. I think he will. 161 for 4 in 56.
Yes, Gus Fraser is remembered, of course, as a bowler, but probably his most famous innings was in the draw against South Africa at Old Trafford in 1998. Gus Fraser tells the story that it's always the bowlers out there in the middle when it gets tense. Got to the crease with 7 overs left, 2 runs needed to make South Africa bat again. So it was one of these really tense ends to a match. He survived the off-field nerves of the coach, David Lloyd, and he was then told by the other batsman, Robert Croft, Ntini is very difficult to see out of the red rose suite, a dark ball out of a black hand with a red background. So I'll take Ntini and you can take Donald.
Here's Brooks in, bowls. That ball is nudged away by Tenduscarter down to fine leg. They've taken one. Tenduscarter loves running, even at the age of 39, and comes back for a second. And the score to 163 for 4. Tim Groenewald, the fieldsman, there. And Tenduscarter goes up to 9. Now I've got news here for the man who'll join us at the end of this over, David Brett. The answer to this question, who does Aaron Beard remind someone of, is not Dale Steyn. Yeah. But what I did say, actually, while you were out of the room, when Tony Amos came back and said, no, it wasn't him, that we're talking at cross purposes, I did say that Malcolm Marshall has a similar run-up, and of course, it's a man of no great height, and that indeed is the correct answer as the ball's played into the covers, not Dale Steyn. It is Malcolm Marshall, and I thought it might be him simply on the clue that Graham Gooch thought he was the greatest bowler he ever played, because I've heard Gooch go for Malcolm Marshall when people have asked him, you know, who was the most fearsome bowler that you ever faced. And I think partly for the reason, Stephen, that despite his lack of height, he could make that ball jump up off a length at will as Brooks bowls, and here Tenduscarter will pick up at least one more, and it goes closer to Groenewald this time, and the single is all Essex will get. Skipper on to 10, 164 for 4.
Yeah, I think Malcolm Marshall was in the attack when Gooch played that marvellous innings for England at Headingley.
Yes, absolutely.
150 odd he made, match-winning innings. And I do remember him telling me that although he made that 3-3-3, didn't he, at Lord's, but he considers that 150 against the Windies to be his best test innings. So
to sum up, when David Brett said he's a South African still playing, he's a West Indian who very, very sadly died at the tender age of 41, I think I remember, Malcolm Marshall. And here is Jack Brooks in and bowls, Cook leaves. Diatribe had a stab because he was going on the clue that he's a South African still playing in Philander. Well, fair enough guess, but we gave you the wrong terms of the question there, Diatribe. Thank you very much for your offer. Martin Levin says, I noticed that Essex's scoring rate has been reduced from 3.6 to 2.9, which reflects highly on Somerset. Yes, it does indeed, as here is Brooks in to bowl to Alistair Cook. Cook, kept low, does well to keep that out. Product of a man keeping his eye on the ball. 71 to Cook, 164 for 4, 57th over.
Yeah, that was a real test of, would have been a real test for any batsman, but Cook passing with flying colours.
Different story if that had been to a new batsman. You know, Cook's been there a long time, but to a new batsman, I think that would have been lethal. Brooks is in, bowls to Cook. Cook steers it down to mid-off, thinks about a single, sees it's not there, as are Ali Fields. And the end of the over, I shall bring in David Brett with Essex choosing to bat. Cook 71, Tenduscarter 10, 164 for 4 as commentary passes to Stephen Lack.
Many thanks indeed, Paul, and great session this has been for Somerset after they were behind at lunchtime. They've taken 3 wickets in this afternoon session so far, and in doing so, they've also choked off the run rate. Alistair Cook, critically for his team, is still there on 71 not out. The captain is with him, and this is a partnership that Somerset would dearly love to break up. And Tim Groenewald, who bowled an excellent post-lunch spell, induced several plays and misses, is coming back on in place of Jack Leach from the River End. 2 slips and a gully as Groenewald sets off into bowl to Tenduscarter. That's a bit of a sighter, one outside the off stump and left alone by the Essex captain. Afternoon again, David.
Afternoon, Stephen. Yeah, it's been a good good hour and a half for Somerset.
Yeah, good fight back. And and striving for a further breakthrough before the tea interval. Greneveld in again, and once more there's no need for Tenduscarter to play that. It's well outside his off stump. Sometimes happens when a bowler starts a new spell that just needs to get the radar perfectly affixed. Greneveld turns below us, intently watched by the crowd here at Chelmsford. That's outside the off stump once more and left alone. He's got plenty of options. Tom Abel hasn't yet chosen to turn his own arm over. He's relied on the front line attack of 5. Greneveld, Gregory, Brooks, Overton and Leach. This is even further outside the off stump from Greneveld, who's pretty disgusted with himself. To wide, signalled by umpire Cook. It was the 4th delivery of the over, which he has to bowl again, of course. In, and for the first time Tenduscarter does have to play. That's much better, on a full length on off stump and defended. It's engrossing cricket out there at the moment. As Greneveld turns, runs away from us. This is driven to only as far as Tom Abel at cover. Won't be a run for that. So vast experience out there in the forms of Alistair Cook and Ryan Tenduscarter. Greneveld is in. Again, that's outside the off stump. No need to play it. It's the end of the over. 165 for 4. 71 Cook. 10 Tenduscarter.
Yeah, not really a threatening over that one, but kept it fairly quiet.
Well, yes, except he wasn't quite on target, really, was he? That was the trouble. Too many deliveries outside the off stump, which didn't need to be played, and making the batsman play is all part of applying pressure, particularly in this format. Adam Wheater is due in next. And Simon Harmer, Peter Siddle. And we're going to have a change at Hayes close end. Jack Brooks has ended his 3rd spell. 11 overs in all, 2 maidens, 0 for 47, Jack Brooks. And it's going to be Jamie Overton running in to bowl to Alistair Cook. There's a strangulated appeal after that. Hits Cook, I think, on the thigh pad.
Good start. Again, just that extra pace, just unsettling the batsman.
Two wickets in the bag for Jamie Overton already. Can he add a 3rd? This is his 3rd spell. He's taken a wicket in each of the first 2. And this time he's not going to deliver the ball. I'm not quite sure why. He looks a bit frustrated, actually, Jamie Overton. I didn't see any sign of Cook not being ready. Or
no, Cook was ready to receive that one. Maybe just lost his footing in the run-up a little bit.
I think that must be the most likely thing. It wasn't movement behind the arm. Anyway, he's got to start all over again. running in, and that's quick again, and finds the edge of Cook's bat. Squirts out to Jack Leach in the gully.
And just squared him up a touch.
It's quite grey and gloomy at the moment here at Chelmsford. I wonder whether we might need the floodlights if it gets any worse. Overton in, and that's jabbed down on the leg side by Cook. Again, the extra pace hurrying him into the stroke, which he effected pretty well in the end. Takes a single. So the field switches around for the right-handed tender scarter. 165 for 4, Essex. 166 for 4 with that single. Cook going on to 72. Two slips and a gully in for the Essex skipper. And there's also a third man as Jamie Overton runs in towards us. Appeal for LBW here, out! Tenderscarter's gone, the Essex captain has gone, he was on the back foot, and Jamie Overton has taken his third wicket of the innings, done exactly what Tom Abel would have been hoping of him, and the fifth wicket has fallen. Round Tenderscarter, LBW bowled Jamie Overton for 10, 166 for 5.
Yeah, another one that just nipped back in. Just off a decent length, kept low as well. Almost a carbon copy of the one that got Dan Lawrence, actually. Just after the lunch break. And the umpire really did have little hesitation, but to give him there.
Yes, the finger went up more slowly than it had done for the previous one. He had a long look at it, Graham Lloyd, whereas the first one, there was no doubt in anybody's mind, really. Lewis Gregory didn't even look at the umpire, he just celebrated. Whereas that maybe was more open to conjecture, but Graham Lloyd in the end raising the digit.
And yeah, Somerset have well and truly wrestled control of this match back in their favour. Essex under a bit of pressure here.
Jamie Overton has 3 for 25 in his 10th over. Excellent figures. It's great for Somerset supporters to see that, because he's had to force his way into this Somerset line-up in red ball cricket. Was at Northants for a short spell on loan, brought back early on account of injuries, and is now really making it count.
Yeah, Essex have the third lowest batting points in the division before the start of this game.
Here's Adam Wheater's first ball, which is off the outside edge, going down to the third man boundary. It's a sketchy way to get off the mark. We saw it from Ravi Bopara as well early on. And Wheater's got off the mark in very similar style.
Yeah, only Warwickshire and Nottinghamshire have gained less batting points. They've also got the lowest number of bowling points, so it's quite incredible. They're actually in third position.
And a great session for Somerset. 4 wickets in it, as Overton runs in again to bowl to the Essex wicketkeeper, who again, it's off the outside edge. This time it goes a little bit squarer and is fielded by Bartlett at backward point. So excellent return for Jamie Overton. If you take a wicket in every spell, then his captain will be entirely happy. 170 for 5 at the end of the over. Wheater is 4. Cook is still there on 72.
Yeah. Just At the fall of wickets. Do you remember when the second wicket went down? I think 126. They were 126 for 1. Essex, and now they are 170 for 5.
Yeah, so 4 wickets for 44.
Yeah.
Tim Greneveld will continue from the river end, bowling to Alistair Cook, who drives. Will get at least a couple for this. I think it may go all the way. There's an attempt at a sprawling stop, which is unavailing. Out at deep extra cover by George Bartlett. So 4 more for Alistair Cook. He goes to 76. A total to 174 for 5. Perfectly executed cover drive. Greneveld in again and down the leg side this time. He's just struggled a little bit with his line since coming back, Tim Greneveld. Outside the off stump too much in the previous over. Bowled an excellent spell just after lunch without success. Ball back with him now as the slips go down. Greneveld goes in outside the off stump this time, a long way out. Will it be signalled wide? The crowd, the gentleman right in front of us who thinks so, and Nick Cook is giving him a return glance.
Having a bit of banter with the spectators. Good
Tremendous.
to see.
It is. It's great. I don't think it was a wide, in fairness, although it was well outside the off stump. That's better. That's on off stump and defended by the Knight of the Realm. Pushed gently out on the offside. Ball returned by way of the offside field to the bowler, who runs in once more. That's outside the off stump and not requiring a stroke from Cook, so none is offered.
Where does the surname Greneveld hail from?
South African, I believe.
Tony's been back in touch. Apologies, Tony, for making a bit of a hash of your your quiz.
Greneveld in again.
I blame Paul Newton.
Cook outside the off stump, left alone. Just to confirm, yeah, he was born in Pietermaritzburg, in Greneveld.
Yeah, Tony just says thanks for everyone for playing, and he says whenever Tom Curran approaches the wicket, he thinks of Alan Donald. Essex.cricket at bbc.co.uk if you want to get in touch with us.
Alan Donald was everything a fast bowler should be, wasn't he?
Mean.
Yeah, he really, really hated batsmen.
Michael Atherton in particular.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, what drama that was. Here is Jamie Overton then, starting a new over from the Hayes close end, and this is turned off his toes by Wheater down to long leg. Tom Banton's on patrol there. They take a comfortable single. Yes, Atherton gloving that catch. Donald was livid. He was given not out. He hadn't walked. And then Nasser Hussain was dropped, wasn't he? He's missed by Mark Boucher.
I think it was Steve Buckner, the one that gave Atherton not out, and I saw it a few months ago on the replay, and you could see the clear deflection off the glove. Quite how he got away with it.
Here is Craig Overton again. There's plenty of lift for him there. I don't think any other bowler in the attack would have got as much lift as Jamie Overton got from that. That extra height. 6'5" tall. Having a really good day, Jamie Overton.
James Hildreth just practiced his golf swing at the first slip there.
Overton, a straight approach, leaning forward. Holes, and this is pulled. It's going to be 4.
With a misfield, that.
Yeah, which George Bartlett, who's livid with himself about it, although it wasn't the easiest, it was crisply struck and it was well to his right as well. But it would have been a fine stop, I think, if he'd made it.
I think he's ended up diving over that a little bit.
Anyway, 4 is the result. So Wheater, I beg your pardon, Cook, goes on to 80. And Overton into him again. Down the leg side, and he shapes to play it to long leg. No contact made, taken by Stephen Davies. Fascinatingly poised, this game. Somerset have their noses in front, I think it's fair to say, after the 4 wickets this session. But Essex now within 21 of their first batting point. And Overton runs in again outside the off stump and left alone by Alistair Cook. Still quite overcast here at Chelmsford. It's been occasional bursts of sunshine, but nothing suggesting permanence. And at the moment rather gloomy and muggy as Overton runs in. Cook comes forward and just pelays that gently out to Tom Abel at cover to end another Jamie Overton over. 3 for 34 his figures from 11. Jamie Overton. 3 spells, all of them including a wicket. 179 for 5. Cook 80. Wheater 5.
Did I have a rumble of thunder earlier, or was it?
It wouldn't surprise me. I didn't hear one, but it's that sort of a day, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels like there's a thunderstorm brewing.
Although
I think we're fine at the moment.
Groenewald is starting a new over, and this is played out to mid-wicket. Bartlett, the fielder, no run. Just looking at the number of overs remaining. It's 96 in the day, isn't it?
Yeah, we're in the 62nd, so there's 34 left, including this one.
Yeah, so tea will be prompt.
Yeah, not bad.
Groenewald is in. Bat and pad. There was going to be an appeal, but you could hear 2 noises from here.
Certainly could, yeah.
Also, there might have been an issue about going down the leg side. I'm not sure. Close to being in line, but not quite there. The wicket is a little bit over to our left as we look down. It's a nice view, though.
Yeah, it's a lovely view. Feels like you're really on top of the game, doesn't it?
It does. Very much so. Quite close to the square as Groenewald is in and Wheater is forward, pushing it up to Jack Leach at mid-off. So a game that has gone the host's way in the first session has gone in the other direction in the second. Groenewald is in. This is driven with a flourish by Wheater.
And
whether it will go
to the boundary,
maybe pulled in. It is just. It wasn't quite timed. They're going to get 3 for it. Alistair Cook hurrying through for the third. It looked good, but it didn't sound quite perfect.
Yeah, and it seems to be a really slow outfield today. Most of the balls that have gone to the boundary seem to be labouring as they get there.
Yes. But I think if he'd timed it just fractionally better, it would have gone all the way.
Yeah.
Quite a few practice pitches on that side of the ground. You tend to see the ball looking as though it's accelerating over them, but pulled in. So Grineveld's going to go round the wicket to Alistair Cook. Just pushes that gently out to mid-wicket where Banton fields. No run.
Scores from around the country. Pakistan, South Africa. Pakistan 308 for 7 in their 50 overs. South Africa 39 for 1 after 10. Hashim Amla, the man out there.
Greneveld has the ball in hand again. Into Cook. Is this caught in the gully? He's been given. Alistair Cook's gone. Crucial strike for Tim Greneveld. It's the first wicket he's taken, but came off bat and pad, I imagine. Taken in the gully. Alistair Cook is out for 80, and the 6th wicket has fallen, with the Essex total on 182.
Yeah, it's a hammer blow from an Essex point of view. 6 down now, lost 5 wickets in the session, and the man would have hoped to have stuck around longer than most, has now gone for 80. Alistair Cook.
Good applause, as you'd expect, for a local hero. Former England captain, of course, and an excellent knock from him. But he will be frustrated that he's been dismissed so shortly before the tea interval, which means another new batsman is going to have to come out and make 2 starts effectively if he can get through till tea. Simon Harmer is the man, and that is as important a breakthrough that Somerset have made today.
I think that was the last ball of the over as well.
Yes, just confirmation on the PA that the catch was taken by Jamie Overton to add to his 3 wickets. He's enjoying his day out.
He is. Very much so. Just to finish off some of the scores, so Surrey eventually out for 194, total which included 40 extras, which was the top scorer.
So it will be Jamie Overton, having taken the catch, has been able to keep hold of the ball, and he's going to be bowling to Adam Wheater, running in towards us. Bowls, and there's another delightful cover drive here, and if I was uncertain whether the timing was perfect with the previous one, there was no problem about that one at all.
Absolutely. Got to the boundary rope with ease. Over pitched from Overton,
and double figures for Adam Wheater. He goes to 12, 186 for 6.
A couple of overs to go before tea, so a chance for Essex, if they can keep these 2 at the creases, to get back in, just have a chat about things. Hasn't gone quite so well after lunch.
Overton in again outside the off stump, again plenty of lift as it goes through to Stephen Davies. Yeah, they've taken 5 wickets in this session, Somerset. 1 for Greneveld, 2 for Jamie Overton, and 2 for Lewis Gregory.
Be interesting to hear from well, I'd probably Cook after the day's play to see what he says about, cause the ball seems to have been doing a lot more in the afternoon session than it was in the morning session.
Yeah, it's been an odd day in that regard, as Overton runs in, bowls to Wheater, who tries to pull but doesn't get the whole bat on it. Again, didn't sound quite right coming off the bat. It's fielded at mid-wicket. Won't be a run. Maybe a difficult situation that Essex are in now, but it's not going to deter Wheater plainly from playing his shots. flamboyant start he's made. 12 not out at the moment, as Overton runs in. Full length down the leg side, taken by Davies, no run. For one of the boundaries was off the outside edge, but seen on delightful cover drive from Adam Wheater. So this will be Jamie Overton's last over before tea. Once an adjustment, mid-wicket being pushed deeper down to deep backward square. Tim Greneveld. Overton runs in and bowls, and this is driven, and in fact the movement of the fielder has allowed Wheater a single there, as he played it to exactly the place that Greneveld had just vacated.
Just looking for that surprise Yorker, Overton. Didn't quite get the right length there.
Means that Simon Harmer will now face his first ball. Right-handed, tall, taking guard from Graham Lloyd. I think it's a middle stump guard. And he settles in readiness for Overton, who's in and bowls. And there'll be an immediate single here for Harmer, as he just clips it to leg. Greneveld, or rather, yes, it is Greneveld fielding, coming round from mid-wicket, so single for Harmer. He's off the mark. Wheater's on 13. 188 for 6. Essex. Somerset have 2 of their potential 3 bowling points. So this will be the last over before the tea interval. It'll be about 10 minutes behind schedule. It's not much. And Harmer, having taken the single, has kept the strike. Greneveld bowls to him. He's hitting him on the pad and going down to backward square leg, pursued by Stephen Davis. There was an appeal, but I didn't really look very convinced.
No. Essex, basically at the end of this over, provided another wicket doesn't fall, lost 5 for 60 in 27. It goes to show just how tight the bowling's been, as well as it's been penetrative as well.
Greneveld in outside the off stump, left alone. Yeah, they've been much tighter since lunch, the Somerset attack. But then I think the conditions were more batter friendly in the first session than they have been in this one. There's been a little bit of movement in this afternoon session. Greneveld in again, outside the off stump, but not by much. Good judgment by Wheater to leave it alone.
3 balls to survive till lunch. Yeah, that one just tailing in a little bit.
Greneveld has got himself into the wickets column in this spell. 1 for 33. His figures in his 14th over. And again, this is driven, beautifully struck by Wheater, although again I think it's going to be pulled in inside the rope. They'll take 3 here.
Just stops, doesn't it? As soon as it stops the square.
Jack Leach, he had to chase out to that long boundary a couple of times in the morning session. Another long one for him there. Wheater goes on to 16. And Harmer is back on strike. 192 for 6. as Groeneveld goes in and Harmer defends out to Abel at cover. So the wickets that have fallen in this session: Tom Westley caught behind off Jamie Overton for 36. That was a thin edge as he tried to pull. Dan Lawrence plumb LBW to Lewis Gregory for 5. Groeneveld in again, outside the off stump, left alone, and that will be tea. As the players troop off, the other wickets that have fallen since: Ravi Vipara caught at mid-on, dolly catch for Jack Brooks off a miscued pull off Lewis Gregory for 7. Ryan Tenduscarter LBW to Overton for 10, and the last man out, Alistair Cook, caught